Work-life balance is a lie. It's not just a little misleading. It doesn't need some tweaking. It's a lie. This chasing, especially when we chase this 50-50 balance, thinking that life's going to come at us in perfect little waves, we already know that doesn't exist. And here's the real problem: when we pursue work-life balance and it never works, we always get upside down one way or the other. We begin to think something's wrong with me. It's my problem. Why can't I balance my life? And if you're an employer that promotes work-life balance, understand that you may be destroying trust with your team members because they don't need balance, they need true flexibility. Today, I will share 4 hard truths with you that if you honor them, they'll set you free. And if you're an employer and you want your culture to be magnetic, if you want your flexibility policies to attract more team members, then these 4 hard truths have to be honored. So if you're a team member and you're trying to have more influence on flexibility, on when, where, and how you work, if you're an employer and you're wanting to build a stronger philosophy around flexibility, if you're wanting it to be magnetic for it to attract the best performers, the best team members, then here are the 4 hard truths that we have to honor. Hard truth number 1, this is a tough one. Flexibility is a privilege. It's not a right. Flexibility has to be earned. Have you ever noticed that anything really worth itself in life, whether it be something that you want materially or some achievement that you want, it takes skin in the game. The things that are really worthwhile, we have to earn them. And that's what the privilege of flexibility is all about. It's not a right. Now, I know I've lost some of you already because you believe, you have the assumption that it is a right. And you can certainly move forward with that opinion, but I promise you, if you treat it as a right, you're going to find out that you have less and less flexibility. You're going to find out that you may not be employed in some places when you treat it as a right. And the reason is because you're not going to take care of some of your commitments and some of your responsibilities. And I promise you this, if you recognize that your flexibility is a privilege, you're going to do a better job of leaning in. You're going to do a better job of honoring your commitments because you realize that you can lose that privilege. And as I walk us through this truth and the other 3 truths, understand this: these truths, if you honor them, are going to empower you to live and have more influence over your flexibility, the flexibility you need to manage your career and your personal life. If you're a leader and you're wanting, again, to attract team members through your flexibility, these hard truths are very key to doing that. True flexibility recognizes there's going to be seasons, weeks, times, days where we need to be completely leaned out. And it also recognizes that there's going to be times when our team, our clients need us and we're going to have to lean all the way in. But in between that, because we have influence, there's things that we want to do and we like to do that we have influence on when, where, and how we work. And that's the difference in a high-trust, high-performance organization that has a magnetic culture. It doesn't have to be a family crisis for you to have the flexibility that makes life better, that lets you enjoy some of the things that you want to enjoy, that lets you work when you're at your best, lets you work at the location that you focus better at. You see, true flexibility is about designing a lifestyle that fits your values, your alignment, what you want to achieve, your dreams, while honoring your commitment and the role you signed up for. So this hard truth is to always remember that true flexibility is a privilege and we earn it. And when we do that, we'll have a lot more freedom. We'll have a lot more influence in how, when, and where we work. Hard truth 2 is that flexibility is built on trust and communication. Guess where flexibility breaks down most of the time? Almost every time. Yep, you got it. Communication. Whether it's last minute changes, missed expectations, people taking advantage of their flexibility, avoiding communicating where you're going to be, when you're going to be available. Poor communication destroys flexibility. And honestly, this communication problem happens both on leadership side and the team member side. And when we have these communication breakdowns, it's not flexibility at all. What it leads to is chaos. And that's on us, that's on me and you, and that's on leadership. So if we want more freedom in when, where, and how we work, we have to do away with fuzzy agreements. We have to have clear agreement on expectations, on timelines, on deadlines. It requires that standards are honored by everyone, that team members have communicated when they'll be available, that we understand where the resources are. Because in true flexibility, if we're not completely leaned out due to a crisis and we're just flexing for lifestyle reasons, we need to treat it like we're on call. We need to be accessible to our team because our flexibility affects our team. It affects our ability to deliver for clients. And so even though we have that flexibility and it's a privilege, we're on call sometimes when it's just lifestyle desires and design. But remember this when it comes to your flexibility: good communication builds trust. Consistency builds trust. Over-communicate, both from the leader aspect and from the team member aspect. Over-communicate. Hey, I'm going to be playing golf Wednesday afternoon, but if you need me, send me a text message. I'll get back to you as soon as possible, as soon as I put out. When it comes to flexibility, mistakes are going to happen. I mean, we're talking about humans here, right? Mistakes are going to happen. So give each other the benefit of good intentions. Crisis, client needs, or emergencies are going to come up, but they've got to be the exception rather than the norm. So the communication around that is very important. You know, as you work on true flexibility and mistakes start to pile up, don't throw out this powerful concept of having true flexibility, because there's going to be challenges. There's going to be things that you need to overcome. When entitlement creeps in, you've got to have radical candor. You have to have timely feedback around that entitlement. When people don't meet expectations, they've got to receive that feedback. And we have to listen to make sure that we set good expectations. And the key here is just reset. Don't throw it out because it's worth it. It's incredibly powerful. And this is exactly what team members are looking for. And this is very important. Flexibility is not about having it all one way or the other. All client focused, all team focused, or all me focused. It's about integrating those in the web, in the flow of what you need in life and what your values are and your lifestyle that you want to live. As you work toward true flexibility, it's about growing your influence on when, where, and how you work. And that's going to always come back to good communication. Now here's hard truth 3 about flexibility. The price of flexibility is discipline, uncommon discipline. So I hate to break this truth to you, but not all of us are wired for true flexibility. In fact, some of us don't perform very well when we don't have structure around us. We're not able to focus at the level we need to focus at when it's just us in the room. Recognizing our individual needs and our individual strengths is very important, because to have true flexibility, we have to have the uncommon discipline of 1, communicating, but 2, the uncommon discipline of focusing when no one else is around, of managing our workload, of anticipating what our needs are so that we can be productive, to manage the energy that we need to be at our best when we decide when, where, and how we work. You see, our work and our performance will never rise to our intentions. I know we all have good intentions. They always settle in where our habits are. And so really think about that as you work on flexibility. Where are your habits? And can you create the uncommon discipline to communicate and to work without the structure that's in most workplaces? The best advice I can give you is to admit that we all need some help. Some of us need a lot of help because when you don't have discipline, flexibility becomes a distraction and our career gets off track really, really quick. Understanding our needs, what we want out of flexibility, understanding our strengths, understanding our ability to manage ourselves. You want to know those things so you can help design and influence a flexibility plan that fits you, that's best for you and your full potential. I don't want to leave leaders out here because it takes discipline on leadership side too. The discipline to do the communication that we were talking about, but the discipline to give feedback, the discipline to have hard conversations when things are sideways, the discipline not to break flexibility promises on a whim, on a control issue. But this will bear out true for you over and over again. The more uncommon discipline you can demonstrate in your career and in your personal life, in your desire for flexibility, the more freedom you will have. Now, our fourth hard truth, and one that's not talked about very often, one that brings a little tension with it also, is the fact that flexibility is not only about you or me. It is about others. It is about our clients, our customers. It's about our fellow team members. So the hard truth is flexibility must serve others, not just you. It's also about serving those who work for you. It's about empowering them to have influence on how, when, and where they work. It's about providing them really a platform that leads to their full potential, creates a magnetic culture that they lean into and give you discretionary effort. And as I stated earlier, again, flexibility is unique to the individual, the role they signed up for, the team that they're on. Understand that some roles will have more flexibility than others. Some will have very limited flexibility, and you actually have to be pretty creative to generate some flexibility there. But it's possible, especially if leadership and team members are talking together and then considering what's best for the client, what's best for everybody that leads to a good situation, which leads to a great outcome. One of the biggest growth areas is balancing our wants with our commitments and making sure that we don't let our wants get heavier than our commitments. We have to honor those commitments. That is part of the balancing act of true flexibility, because we can get too focused on our wants versus honoring our commitments. Making sure we're progressing in our career at the same time that we're honoring the lifestyle we want and we're honoring and prioritizing our family needs. But the bottom line of this hard truth is that our flexibility has to serve others. It has to serve them well, not just me and you. In closing, my personal story around flexibility has been one of my highest values. I treasure and protect my flexibility. I will fight for that flexibility. I was always looking for ways to increase flexibility, to get our focus on productivity and outcomes and value versus being in a certain seat at a certain time. My greatest frustrations as a professional came when I could see that there were control needs that were dictating my flexibility, and it really wasn't focused on outcomes. It was focused on being present and not the value you're creating. Extremely frustrating. And when I was in those situations, I found ways to move to another team, another leader, even another organization. And that's exactly what the best team members do today. They have options, and they are going to look for true flexibility, to have real influence on when, where, and how they work. And always remember, the best people will deliver at a very high level because they understand flexibility is a privilege. It's a privilege. So stop chasing the big lie. There is no such thing as balance. There's only your ability to integrate your life, your career, and your personal needs, the lifestyle that you want to live, the values that you want to honor, the ability to respond to your family needs, the ability to respond to your commitment and the role that you've signed up for. But forget about the big lie. Work-life balance doesn't exist. And I always like to remind people, leaders and team members, flexibility is not about escaping work. It's not about escaping accountability. In fact, I think the more flexibility you have, the more accountability you have. Because there's no excuse that, well, I was at the office from 8 to 5, 5 days a week. I got done all I could get done. And when you got true flexibility, you're responsible for getting it done, or you lose your flexibility. True flexibility is about aligning your life, your career, your commitments, and your role. And as you do that, always remember our rally cry, to be better.